Good day, viewers. My name is Niyo Kwande, and you're welcome to the Big League Soccer, the World Cup edition. This is the final edition for the World Cup, and here with me in the studio I have Julius Ojiagbase.
It's good to be back on the studio today.
Welcome, sir. And also Kozim Elegbede is in the far right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you're welcome once again to the Big League Soccer. This is going to be the final edition for the World Cup, and we're looking at everything that transpired in the World Cup, from the games, from beginning to the end, the final matches, the awards that took place. Everything will be dissected by my analysts in the studio. Now let me start from you, Julius Ojiagbase, from my close right. And let's look at the World Cup, the 2014 World Cup as a whole. What has been your impression for the games that have been played in the World Cup?
To be honest, it's the goals that were scored in the World Cup for me is the high point. It has produced the most goals in all World Cup that have been played. And not only because it has produced most goals, it's the way those goals are scored, the qualities of goals that we saw in the World Cup. It was one of the best. And again, I think again the teams that came to the World Cup, it has showed clearly in this World Cup that every other countries are already woke up to reality, which means that there are more countries that are, able to win the World Cup in the coming future. Take for instance the group that had Costa Rica, that had the two-times champion, the Italians, and the English team there. And guess what? The Costa Rica came top of that group. That's for me. It's some of the high points in the World Cup. And of course, we cannot take away the marvelous goals that were scored, particularly Rodriguez. Yes, that goal was for me, top.
The Colombian striker.
The Colombian striker. That's for me. It's a very good goal.
Yeah, thank you. But you said the number of goals that were scored at the World Cup. I think the number of goals scored at this World Cup matched exactly with that was scored at France '98. So we have exactly 171, if I'm right.
Okay, well, so I didn't get that start.
Yeah, we didn't. They were unable to break. I mean, they were able to break the record, but they couldn't
surpass it.
Yeah, they couldn't surpass it.
Then I would say the qualities of goal for me, it's fantastic.
How would you rate the World Cup as a whole, in general, in terms of the games played?
The World Cup, one thing I really enjoyed was nobody talked again about riots once the World Cup kicked off.
Yes.
And because there was this, the fear was palpable that maybe rioters would disrupt the tournament. And for me, it will rank among the best World Cup of all time, because I mean, it's not just the number of goals, which is now a joint highest goal scoring World Cup tournament. Then you look at the level of teams. That is, for me, the most eye-opening fact of this World Cup. When you get to the knockout stage, you could see that there was hardly a difference between the 16 teams. That's why a lot of games went into extra time. Yeah. In my opinion, if you can't beat somebody in 90 minutes, then you are equal. Of course, extra time, just like tiebreaker, then penalties. Are you getting it? So, and you can count how many games went into extra time. Even the ones that didn't go into extra time, the teams who won actually sweated to win. Yeah, it was unlike in the past, when, for example, you say, Denmark beating Nigeria 4-1, or Brazil beating somebody 5-0. We didn't have that. Brazil sweated to overcome Chile 2-1, and Netherlands, they had it rough to overcome Mexico. In fact, they needed 2 goals in the at death of the game to win. And then even Nigeria, France, it was very close. France didn't score 2 goals until the last 10 minutes of the game. So, and when you got to the quarterfinals, you could even see the closeness, because 3 of the quarterfinal matches went into extra time.
Yeah, there were very few goals.
And they were very. So it shows that the gap between the so-called big teams and the so-called minors has really closed up, such that any team on the day can beat any team. And the joy for me again is that overall, the most deserving team won it, because Germany were the most consistent team. Not only during this World Cup, they've been that since 2002. They've been that all World Cup long. Okay, and they won it. And you can't say they didn't deserve it. Probably the Netherlands should have been in the final. but we know why they weren't in the final. And they showed why they should be in the final by trashing Brazil again, 3-0 in the third place match.
And if you look at
and finally, I think again, I think there's a big statement made by the Europe teams that maybe power have changed from the South America that it used to be now to Europe, saying that look at how
Europe. If you look, Europe has been blazing the trail in terms of football played on the pitch. If you compare European clubs with South American clubs, you know that
there is no even comparison. The best players all over the world play in Europe. Are you getting it? By the time you start counting how many players Barcelona, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea, Juventus have at the World Cup compared to the South Americans, you know it's a very, very wide margin. And at any rate, Europe have won the World Cup 11 times now against South America's 9. And to rub it in, they won the World Cup on South American soil for the first time. They have won the World Cup 3 consecutive times. That had never happened too. So all sorts of records have been broken at this World Cup. Okay, the first team to win the World Cup outside its continent was Brazil, who went to Sweden to win it in 1958, and that was their first World Cup. And since then, no non-European has been able to win the World Cup on European soil. So Europe has now retaliated by winning this very one, and the fact that they won the last 3 World Cup matches. And again, when you look at the World Cup, the last 3 World Cup finals went into extra time. What does that tell you? It tells you that, look, the gap, the so-called gap, is almost non-existent, because once you get to the knockout stage, everything becomes very, very, organized, and it becomes so difficult to break teams down.
Julius, if we take a look at the games from the group stage to the final, what particular game stood out for you at the World Cup? What particular game? You can look at it. You can take your time to look at it.
64 matches.
64 matches to play. What game actually stood out? For me, I don't want to treat my game. The game that stood out for me was the Spain-Holland game, when I knew, we're going to have a cracking World Cup. What game stood out for you?
Well, to be honest, it will be difficult for me to point just one game. There are quite some games that I would like saying this game, it's a wow. So, but if I have to choose one of the games that when I watch it, I think that's Colombia, Brazil. I really enjoyed the game where James scored that goal. For me, I really enjoyed that game. I like the attacking, the passion which they attack with the two sides. For me, that's the game.
Colombia, Brazil, or Colombia?
No, Colombia, Brazil. That's the quarter final that Colombia lost.
Quarter final. Colombia lost that game.
Yeah.
That was a very, very. That game was.
That's his choice.
That's the goal that stood out for me. For me, it was the attacking sense in the game that I really liked.
And Mr. Akazim, what particular game stood out for you?
Of course, I have to go to the semi-finals. Brazil won Germany 7. That was another history-making match, and no Brazilian will enjoy that. But I was just happy that I witnessed history, because never in the history of World Cup will a team score 6 goals.
Not even against a world power.
And not even against the host. Yeah. No host country. I mean, what we're used to is that Brazil beats people 6-0, 7-1, 8. But that somebody did it to them.
Yes.
1, at the World Cup semi-final. 2, on their ground. I mean, was just, the second game closer to it will be the Netherlands destruction of Spain. And for me, the wild card, the dark horses, the underdogs that really impressed me will have to be Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, I think, are actually everybody's second team at this time, because they surprised everybody.
And they played so well. They played so well. Great football.
The thing we can take out from Costa Rica is that the team is not even filled with any stars.
No.
The best players they've got in that team, maybe Brian Ruiz and them.
Even they are not stars. Brian Ruiz of Fulham, relegated Fulham.
And that's what we're saying. I was discussing off the set. When you look at the teams that, particularly Germany, if you look at Germany now, can you point to any iconic player, like say this is the player that stood out?
No, but Germany have always been a team.
No, I'm trying to make a point. The point is, the thing that, like Costa Rica, one of the things that make them tick, you could see teamwork. What I'm pointing out is that any team that goes to a tournament with a player, in quotes, they have it difficult. But when a team goes and you have a team, they always stand out. I can remember when even Greece won the European Cup. You can't point to any player, but as a team, they actually did that. So I think it's a teamwork that will, take.
I think, and that was the major shortfall for Brazil at this tournament because everything was hit on
Neymar.
And as soon as Neymar wasn't available for the semi-final, they lost.
They were affected.
All right.
They lost 2 games where Neymar didn't play.
Maybe they have an excuse for not winning the World Cup.
They didn't have any excuse. They to concede 10 goals in 2 games on your ground in front of your fans. Semi-final of the World Cup, top place match. There can't be any excuse for that.
They couldn't even win the third place game. That's why having their captain back.
They couldn't win because they were lucky to reach that stage. They were lucky because they were the host.
Wait, do you really think Brazil was lucky?
Yes, they were. I will tell you why. Look at the group stage.
Yeah.
Which teams did they play against? They played against an average European side in Croatia, not the Croatia of 1998.
And of course, we know what happened in that.
And again, they had appearance from the referee.
Do you think that was not a penalty?
Let's not go back because we discussed all the. Now they played against Mexico that they couldn't beat, and they played against Cameroon that any team in the World Cup, any other 31 team will beat Cameroon silly in this World Cup. Okay, so they had it easy at the group stage. When it got to the second round against Chile, they had issues. They couldn't, they just escaped through the skin of their teeth. And against Colombia, we know what happened. They bullied the Colombians. They kicked them to submission. It wasn't football.
It was very rough.
I mean, how many times did they kick Rodriguez? And Neymar was complaining that somebody wanted to end his career.
Fernandinho was after James Rodriguez.
And referee allowed them to keep kicking these guys. What are we talking about? Okay, Brazil bullied their way to the semi-final. Now when they met the real teams with character, teams with discipline, teams with team ethics and chemistry, they couldn't do anything.
You can't bully.
The only goal they scored against Brazil and Germany was because the match was over. It was over. It was won within 29 minutes.
But I always feel momentum is a very, very big factor.
That's the thing that pushed them thus far. If that World Cup had held outside Brazil, I'm telling you, Brazil will not get beyond second round.
And I have this.
Chile would have eliminated them.
I have this conspiracy theory that, for me, in the truth, I was telling him, I said, you know what, FIFA particularly kept Brazil in the tournament to that point because if they resist early, we don't know what will happen. After the game that was incident, the game they were beaten. We could see what happened. There was violence. People had, So for me, it was a good thing they did it that way. But for looking at them playing, I knew they won't make it because they were not good as a team.
Well, we heard from media reports in Brazil that if Brazil had gone out at the second round stage, the protest would have started again.
Most likely. That's
what I've
because the Brazilian population felt they spent so much money and they just couldn't afford to go out at that stage.
Thank God they went as far as the semi-finals.
Exactly.
So they had to play 7 matches.
Exactly.
And they
so
did.
Many people have traveled out of, because I told my wife, I said so many people have traveled out of Brazil. So it's okay for them to start their riot
if they want to.
If they want to.
So let's look at the final game that took place between Germany and Argentina. We knew this was not going to be a 7-1 or a 10-goal.
7-1 was an aberration.
Yes.
It was an aberration.
But nobody was really sure if Argentina would win or Germany. Nobody could put their money. We all knew the Germans were favorites. Let's we all knew the Germans were favorites, but you couldn't stake your money that Argentina will win this or Germany will win this.
No. A lot of people put money on Germany, and for obvious reasons. Okay, because Argentina wouldn't have been Argentina without Messi. Okay, and I think for me that final helped to answer a lot of questions. A lot of Messi fans have not ceased comparing him with Diego Armando Maradona. Hey, they are both Argentines, but I think comparing the two of them is like comparing death with sleep. Maradona, if Argentina had a Maradona in the match against Germany, that final in Brazil, they will win.
But I think if Argentina had the Messi of 2006, 2007,
Messi is Messi.
Well, I think Messi has dropped off. I don't know if anyone has noticed.
Hello. And wait, give him credit. It was the reason why Argentina maybe went this far. Because the group stage, he put Argentina on the shoulder. So you see, people say Messi have to win the World Cup to be compared to Maradona. Maybe it might sound unfair, but there is a lot of merit in that saying. Because let's face it, maybe Argentina might not have won the World Cup in 1986, but for Maradona, anybody who witnessed that World Cup knew what Maradona did. It was Maradona all through. Okay, then compare. There are a lot of. There is still a long journey for Messi to go to reach the level of Maradona. I will tell you why. Maradona left Barcelona and went to another other club in Italy, Napoli. Yeah. Immediately he got there, Napoli won 2 Serie A titles, yes, and they won the UEFA Cup. Okay, so if Messi wins the World Cup, to be compared, and even that comparison for me will be very, very poor, because Maradona is light years ahead. Maradona
Messi has done a lot on the club scene, even if he can't get it right in the world.
I think for him to be called all-time greatest, okay, even Maradona for me is not all-time greatest, okay, but for him to be called that at all, even by those who worship him, he has. I mean, you can't tell me you don't win the World Cup and you are all-time greatest. Hello.
But sir, what about George Weah? George Weah never won the World Cup. But
in fact, I'm telling you, how many people remember the name George Weah apart from us Africans?
But
when you mention Maradona, is global. When you mention Pele, is global. Why are these people global? Because they won the main team, the real team.
So you are telling me Messi?
And if Messi is not going to win the World Cup, for me to rate him that highly, he has to go to a club like Wigan in England, win the Premier League, take them to win the Continental, then I will know you are a super special player. He's a special player, no doubt. Yes. Okay, but hey, he didn't have a very good World Cup by his high standards.
And what do you think? How do you rate Messi's performance in the final?
Well, you see, I have a problem when I have to rate players that play in a certain age, the player that is playing in a certain age. I differ on when I begin to compare players.
What's your difference?
Yeah, my difference is the time Maradona plays. See, football has evolved. Yeah. So to what we have today. So the only way I can compare that, if I can bring Maradona into now this age and let him put up that performance again, then I can read.
No, I think.
But hold on. But to conclude, Messi have not really had a great World Cup, in my opinion.
He didn't have a great World Cup.
We know what Messi is going for.
He only had four good games.
Yeah. Because we know what Messi is about. Messi on himself win games.
Yeah.
And
that's what he did against mediocres at the group stage.
If you watch the game against
against mediocres. Against mediocres, I say with no apology. Nigerian team to the World Cup was a mediocre team. Iran was a mediocre team. Okay, Bosnia and Herzegovina were debutants against mediocre. When he got to the knockout stage, how many goals did Lionel Messi score?
But he was creating assists.
How many assists? 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4 matches. My brother, forget. Messi is not about creating assists. Messi is about winning matches. If you played 4 matches, you only made 1 assist in 4 matches. Does that sound like Messi? To anybody who knows Messi, no. For Canada, this guy didn't have a good tournament, in my opinion, by his high standards. And it betters the belief. When we get there, why he has to win the award he won. When we get there, we'll talk about that.
Germany were deserved winners.
No doubt, in my opinion, no doubt.
Well, to conclude what I'm saying, Messi didn't have a great World Cup, and that is understandable because even prior to the World Cup,
why is he understandable?
He had a good game. No, listen, he had a good game for Barcelona. If you check. When he came
people said he was reserving himself for the World Cup.
No, he wasn't. He didn't have he didn't have a good season in Barcelona. Go check. And that is one of the reasons even the Spanish team suffered. Just like the Ronaldos of this world, he came to the World Cup in the country. So there's no.
But Messi didn't come with any injury.
No, listen. He came from an injury before he came to the World Cup. So the truth of the matter, he hasn't been himself because the World Cup. But that's his own story. But for me, he didn't have a good World Cup.
And so. Looking at picking up on the point you made earlier on when we were discussing the review of the 2014 tournament. You said if 2 teams play together and after 90 minutes you can't separate them, it means both teams are actually equal. So it means Argentina and Germany were actually equal yesterday.
Nobody would dispute that. Okay. But at the end of the day, a winner had to emerge, and you can't argue with the fact that Germany won.
Everybody has been
because they created.
Win.
No, not everybody.
No, sorry.
Anybody who knows football will not say Germany will win.
I said, you said something that people could not
money on anybody.
But to be honest, I told my wife, Germany has their name written on the World Cup. And why? because of performance. Germany has a team, Maradona has an individual.
I mean, Argentina has an individual.
So you can't match the two. The German team come as a team. They are relying more on Messi, and that
it's not only that. You have to look at the route of the two teams to this final. Argentina needed 2 extra times in 3 games to get to the finals. That means they couldn't win matches in 90 minutes. Are you getting it now? Yeah. Germany needed only one to get to the final. Okay, the only thing the little doubt I had about Germany winning that World Cup was because Argentina had not conceded a goal in the knockout stage. Yeah. It's like they had put their defensive disorganization together. They were very organized, and I was thinking, because Germany, the way they played during the World Cup, they would love to work the ball into your 18 against a very disciplined team. You wouldn't, and that's why they couldn't score in 90 minutes. Okay, but ultimately, when you look at the two teams, yes,
because they didn't attack. I mean, then look at the
possession. When you look at the two teams,
and that's for me, it says a lot. You see an Argentina team playing more of a defense.
They played counter, and they had pace. They had pace, but Germany were better organized. To be cut out. Of course, occasionally you create chances, which Argentina had. I mean, that World Cup could have gone to anybody because had Argentina been able to score one of the few chances that came their way, Messi, Higuain, maybe they could have won. Maybe.
Because if they had gotten that goal, that early
but it is if. It is if.
All those are if. Because I think when they get that, we can never can.
Most likely Germany to equalize.
Okay, quickly. Standout players in that game. I was very impressed with Bastian Schweinsteiger.
For me, man of the match, Bastian Schweinsteiger.
Man of the tournament, for my opinion.
And the German goalkeeper, he looks fantastic. He doesn't have to make too many saves.
Unbeatable.
Very good.
Well, unbeatable.
They've started giving a sweeper now.
Yes, now sweeper. No, you see, if Germany were to be Brazil, the world would be acclaiming them now. Why? Because all this, Germany have been bringing things to football that were never seen before. During the time of Franz Beckenbauer as a player, he introduced the libero, the term libero. He played as a libero. Okay, but the world didn't acclaim because he was a German. Yes, the world acclaimed, but not as much as. And look at what Noah is doing now. Yeah. Goalkeeper playing like a sweeper. That's another innovation. Which, if it had been a Brazilian or possibly a Dutch, I mean, total football. Everybody talked about total football. That's the only thing you can say about the Dutch team. So, yeah. Germany keeps bringing things to the world, and for me, they are not as acclaimed as they should be.
On that note, we'll go on a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. So we are looking at individual awards now at the FIFA World Cup. I'm going to reel out the awards. I'm sure you have a few things to say about maybe one or two of them. I'm actually satisfied with most of the awards, really, apart from one. I don't want to mention that one so that I don't give you preconceived idea about what to say. But let's start from the FIFA Fair Play. FIFA Fair Play is usually very open. What's your take on FIFA Fair Play? Colombia won the FIFA Fair Play, Julius.
They deserve it. They were clean. They are one of the teams that, like I said, I chose the game they play against Brazil to be one of my best games. And like we have said, if you watch the way that game was played, if they have reacted the way the Brazilian
we're kicking them.
But they took out the poster boy of the
well, you see,
that was an accident. That was an accident.
Just like you can say they took out Onazi.
Yeah.
You see, accident.
In fact.
It's a game of contact, mind you. So what happened there? If you watch the incident, it wasn't premeditated. It was an action because Neymar was bending to.
Even let's say it was premeditated. Wait, let's look at Neymar and the injury. Even if it was premeditated, look at the statistics. How many fouls did Brazil commit in that match compared to Colombia's?
So that's
okay. Brazil committed more fouls than Colombia, and I feel the only reason why a Fernandinho, for example, was not red carded, in fact, was not even yellow carded once, and he committed most fouls in that match, was because he was a Brazilian.
I think he got one yellow card.
Even if he got, he should have been red carded long time.
Yeah, I think Fernandinho deserved the red card.
He
was just too reckless.
So then again,
he finished the game. He completed the game.
Maybe the gods of the game actually.
It's not about
having a woeful performance in the final.
It's not
in the semi-final.
It's not. Forget about gods of soccer or whatever. I think one thing FIFA did, which I hope will translate into the leagues, is that they decided to make this World Cup very clean by not giving cards out anyhow.
Yes, another thing is, one of the statistics we got from the World Cup was that they said FIFA actually reserved the 4 most lenient referees in the world for the semi-final games. And that's to show you that FIFA don't want players to be red carded.
Yeah, unless you had no choice.
Yes. Yes.
which for me is not bad.
Yes.
Because football is about 11v11. Once you send off a player, then
Another team has advantage.
but if it is necessary, I mean, if a player endangers the life of other players, I don't care whether it is 11 against 8, send him out.
So I think they deserve it.
So Colombia deservedly
Absolutely.
should have the fair play award.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's look at another. Okay, this is the best young player at the tournament. Do you have any other pick before I mentioned the Paul Pogba won it? Do you have any other player that you think was outstanding at this tournament, Julius? Apart from Paul Pogba, or you think okay?
That would be James.
James Rodriguez.
He doesn't like being called James.
Yeah, well,
James, that is the way they pronounce it. James is English.
Yes.
So I think that is a player that stood out. And then the other player for Arsenal, what's his name now?
Campbell.
Campbell.
Okay, Joel Campbell.
Yeah, Joel Campbell.
Costa Rican
Yes,
striker.
he did well. He did well. But overall, I think Pogba deserved to win it.
Pogba actually got a lot of joy when he played against Nigeria. That maybe our midfield wasn't good enough, so maybe they thought
It wasn't like our midfield is good enough.
Well, it won't give-
France did to Nigeria what Brazil did to Colombia. They kicked us out of the World Cup. And ironically
Taking out
so,
Onazi.
not only by taking out Onazi, they were so rough in that game, they were too physical, and they got away with it because, one, we weren't streetwise. We discussed it on the program. Okay, France kicked us, they bullied Nigeria out of the World Cup. It used to be Africans bullying Europeans, but what we saw France-Nigeria was complete contrast. But we're beyond that. We hope the lessons will be learned.
So, best young player of the tournament for Pogba. Very good. Golden Glove. This one is, you can't dispute this. Manuel Neuer. When you look at the statistics in terms of saves, he's up there.
Yeah.
Although we have some other goalkeepers that did well, but Manuel Neuer was my pick. What's your own pick,
Maybe I can explain why Neuer. Yes, Neuer my pick as well. But somebody will argue for Argentine goalkeeper Sergio Romero. Incidentally, both Romero and Neuer kept 4 clean sheets. So it could have gone either. But you now look at number of saves. Neuer made more saves than Romero because apparently Argentina, like we said, they didn't consider any goal in the knockout stage. They sat back to stifle teams, so that made their goalkeeper a little bit secure and gave him less work to do. So on that account, Neuer, came out trumps because Romero too could have won it if it's not for number of saves that Neuer had more than, and another goalkeeper would have been American goalkeeper Tim Howard, but because they didn't go far.
He was a one-match superstar.
He made highest number of saves in the World Cup.
So what do you want to say about Mexican goalkeeper?
Yeah, Ochoa, fantastic goalkeeper too.
So
But his number now, you judge it. That's why if you don't get Enyama too, Nigeria's Enyama.
Except for the mistake against
Yes, but if Nigeria had gotten to the semi-finals and he had kept a couple more clean sheets, he would have been a contender.
Yeah, it would have been a contender.
But for me, this is the best goalkeeper.
Easily, yes.
And to crown it all is the champion. So
most times the champions usually produce Golden Glove. Most times. So the Golden Boot. Let's move on to the Golden Boot.
There can't be any debate about that.
There's nothing to dispute about it.
The only person who scored 6 goals, James Rodriguez.
No
straight away.
The closest person is someone who scored 5 goals.
Muller. Gerd Muller. Thomas Muller, sorry.
Thomas Muller. So Golden Boot, undisputable. Now let's move on to the Golden Ball, the MVP.
That's the most contentious.
The most valuable.
I will tell you why. It is the only one. No, it is the only one of these awards that don't have any clear-cut criteria. It's like some people just sit in the comfort of their office and then they decide this is the person we're giving it to. We explained fair play, Golden Gloves, Golden Boot. These
are very clear.
Very clear. Okay, and for me, I don't know what FIFA is up to. Is it a must that they should compensate Messi? For what? I will name, even in Argentine team, I will name 3 players who had better tournaments than Lionel Messi in Argentina. And they will even win my golden ball.
The number 1 is Mascherano.
Even Sergio Romero, their goalkeeper, and for me, Angel Di Maria. The 2 games he didn't play, Argentina just couldn't perform. Okay? They couldn't perform. It was the reason why they got to the quarterfinal in the first place, because it was the goal he scored, and it was the ball he shot that ricocheted to Higuain for the goal they scored in the quarterfinal.
Well, I saw a stat that said I think Lionel Messi had the most successful dribbles at the World Cup. Maybe that is another.
Is that why you win the Golden Ball? No, it is the impact. It is the impact you make. Arjen Robben, for me, that is the man for the Golden Ball. Okay.
As a man, I want to give it to
Schweinsteiger. No, I give it to Arjen Robben.
I want to give it.
And I will tell you why. Okay.
Why?
In 7 matches, except one where he didn't really have a telling impact, and that was the semi-final. Not that he didn't try.
Against Argentina.
Not that he didn't try, but he didn't have a telling impact. In the remaining 6 games, he was there. It was the reason why Holland kept winning, kept scoring. He might not necessarily score all the goals. He will create, I mean, he won how many penalties he didn't win for them, how many goals did he score for them. Then you look at Lionel Messi that eventually won it. Okay, I tell you, after the 4th game, that's this round of 16, Messi disappeared. He could easily sit in the stands and nobody will miss him. Because, I mean, if for you to win a Golden Ball, what we're saying is that anytime you're on the pitch, we see your impact. You can't say that of James Rodriguez, for example. For me, you could have gone to James Rodriguez if you are talking about, okay, the impact players, because that is, for me, the criteria to choose player of the tournament. It is the impact you make on your team. Arjen Robben throughout. Messi only 4 matches. Arjen Robben 6 matches. Okay, so how do you just oppose this?
Well, you have said it, or you said it, so compensate. So let's leave it.
But why? 2010, they gave him Ballon d'Or when he should have gone to Wesley Sneijder.
We cannot say the whys, and that's why, because you always
FIFA is a clique.
Yeah, they will tell you players are FIFA.
FIFA is a clique, led by Sepp Blatter.
They like Lionel Messi.
Yes, they like. I think one of the things again that I feel I might be wrong now is the character of the player. Now, like if you look at
because Arjen Robben, they accuse him that he dives. No. So looking at Brazil 2014, hold on. I give it to Arjen Robben.
You see, I give it to him. You know, but I'm saying, perhaps the reasons is character.
Okay, what about character? Fine. What about James Rodriguez? Easily we will win it.
You didn't get to the
No, there is no rule that says you have to get to the semi-finals. There is no rule.
Well, you
and I've just told you. I've just told you now that after the 4th game, that's the 2nd round, Messi disappeared.
Okay.
So what are we talking about?
We are running out of time. Just in about 1 minute from both of you, just tell me, officiating at the tournament, what's your take on it?
Well, after the 1st game, particularly against Brazil, actually I was pissed off, and but I think FIFA got their ass in order. They were able to make amends. Particularly, we could see that a lot of players lasted longer on the pitch, could have left, which for me it was good. So I think they got it at the end of it.
Officiating, I wouldn't say it was bad, but for me it wasn't the best. The only thing I would say they achieved was that they caught to some extent play acting, because when players fell and you will see that referee didn't blow, immediately these players will stand up and start running. Yeah. If they could maintain that standard, that would be fantastic for us, because I mean nobody wants cheaters. Yeah. So that's the only positive I take from the officiating. The level of officiating for me wasn't the best we have seen at the World Cup.
All right, that's a wrap for the show today. Thanks to Kozim Elebede for joining us and Julius Ojiagbase. Join us again for the show next time, where regular Big League Soccer continues. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel on the internet and leave your comments on our webpage. Thank you.